Are you struggling right now because you've bulked up, feel like you've added a load of muscle, but you've just gotten fat? This is something that we're going to talk about today and explain to you exactly when you should go from a bulking, gaining phase and into a fat loss phase. So, I'll talk about my own journey. Mid-November 2022, I competed classic physique in Romania, was shredded, was about 90 kilos. If I fast forward to where I am now, 6th of June 2023, I was 110 kilos. So I added nearly 20 kilos of body weight, and enough is enough. So now is a time that I'm now going to transition back into terms of pulling off some body fat. And we're going to talk to you today about exactly what the telltale signs are that you need to do this. So number one for me, this is a huge one. You just feel like shit. So for example, adding 20 kilos of body weight, if you walk around and carry a 20 kilo plate, that's what I'll carry around every day. So like I'm walking around getting shin splints, my feet getting pumped. Like you just feel very awkward because you're so much bigger than you used to being. And this has a really negative effect in terms of your overall life and just makes you generally feel tired. So one of the big things I noticed is I just felt drained all the time. And this is due to a couple of things. When you add a lot of body weight and you're eating a lot of food, your body can get very inflamed. You're also training super hard, so you're putting more stress and inflammation into your body. So a really important thing to understand is that this huge increase in inflammation can make you feel pretty shitty and also really cause more digestive issues. So big number one thing I'd focus on is like, where's your energy levels at and how are you feeling? Second thing that's a big thing that happened to me is in terms of, I just felt like my body wasn't receptive. So what do I mean by receptive? In terms of like carbohydrates, I wasn't getting as much as a pump as I was. I didn't feel like my body was utilizing, shuttling nutrients around as much as possible. Just didn't feel like my body was efficient and performing how it should. Now, one of the big mistakes I see with guys is when they're in a perma bulk phase, and this could be you right now. Guys do this for years on years on years. They're just chubby and they never actually gain any muscle tissue. Now, if you get into the point where your body's starting to like push back and is not efficiently using nutrients like carbohydrates, then you're going to struggle to build muscle mass. And this is when it's a pivotal point where you need to shift direction from a mass gaining phase to putting off some body fat. Now, what can also happen in this process of you eating all these carbohydrates, gaining all this weight, is you also lose your sensitivity to insulin. So your body basically isn't able to utilize carbohydrates as well, isn't so sensitive in terms of blood sugar levels, and this all comes together in terms of a bit of a recipe for a perfect storm for more fat gain, no more muscle gain, and feeling like crap. Particularly when I talk about the next thing, which is going to be in terms of when your ratio of body fat goes too high. So from experience, I don't recommend guys should go above 15-16% body fat, because what happens when you go over that point is you'll find that your testosterone to estrogen ratio becomes skewed. So the more body fat you have, the higher your body's natural estrogen is going to be. So we want to pull that back down when your body fat gets too high, because you'll find your body will start to naturally produce more estrogen. Now, estrogen is the primary sex hormone, and we don't want to turn to women if we're looking to be a guy and grow muscle mass. It's a fairly fundamental thing. We want to be testosterone dominant. We want to have high testosterone, and we do need high estrogen to some degree to increase strength, but we don't want to be super high. So what happens is you tend to get testosterone decreasing and estrogen going up as body fat levels accumulate. Fourth thing that can also happen, and has happened to me, you feel like you just fucking hate the gym. Last week, I have never been so unmotivated to train in my life. Now, I still did it, and then on the Tuesday I was like, okay, this is where I need to take a deload and take some time out. I took 3 days of no training and then one training day, like half intensity session, half volume session, and now I feel way better straight away. Because sometimes too much of a good thing is an issue. If you train too much, that can cause you a lot of problems. Just because you lose your love for it, your body starts to hate it, gets inflamed with all the food, all the weight, everything like that, and it's a perfect storm in terms of problems. So if you're in a position right now where you feel like you're trying to grow muscle mass, but you feel tired all the time, your training's really, really poor, you're not hungry, this is the time you should probably take maybe a few days off, reduce your food a little bit, and maybe look to drop some body fat. Because the primary driver of muscular hypertrophy is basically getting stronger, mechanical overload. If you're not in a position where your training is excelling, you're getting stronger, then guess what? You're not going to be building more muscle mass. You're just going to be spinning your wheels, training for sake of training, effectively wasting your time. And this is the worst thing you can do, and I've seen it happen over and over again, which is why if you're in a position where you're starting to get stuck, you're not enjoying it, you need to shift gears. Now, the final point for me, and if you've been there and you're watching this video and you're listening to this podcast, drop a comment below, is you're just not happy with the way you look. So my body fat's gone high as it's been for 5-6 years. On this mission to grow as much muscle mass as possible. To be honest with me, it's made me hate the way I looked. I was like, I want to wear t-shirts, don't want to take the top off as much. And you live in Dubai and it's pretty cool and you go to beaches all the time. Like, I don't really give a shit, but like, it's not what I represent or who I want to be, and I prefer being leaner, even though you have to put on weight to build muscle. And if that starts to have a negative effect where you don't enjoy the training as much, This is a big issue in terms of psychologically, because if you enjoy something, whatever that thing may be in life, whether it's lifting weights, getting jacked, whether it's working, making money, whether it's playing football, whether it's skiing, whatever it might be, like, if you love doing that thing and you enjoy it, you're probably going to get really good at it because you can do it more, you can put more effort into it. So the secret to success when it comes to building muscle, burning fat, is actually to make sure you enjoy the process. Now, with this, one thing that's really, really important to understand is how can you set yourself up for success. So one thing is training in different environments, gyms, training with different people if you can. Have a systematized program that keeps you and excited, and you have a coach helping you. Make the progress exciting, and that's the key thing for you to really take your physique to the next level. Now, some of the big mistakes people make when they come into the perma-bulk phase, where they end up just thinking they're growing muscle mass but just getting fatter. The last thing I want to add as a bonus is they don't look at their digestion. Now, you aren't what you eat, you are what your body assimilates and digests and can actually utilize. So if you're not digesting your food correctly, this is going to cause a big issue in terms of increased inflammation, body actually not utilizing the food, and probably increasing the levels of body fat you're going to be accumulating, which again is not going to be counterintuitive to the goal. And you have to remember that all the body fat you're adding whilst quote unquote gaining muscle, you're going to have to spend time dieting at some point to get it off. The longer you spend dieting, the more muscle mass you lose in the dieting process, which is why my final point to put is that when you go into a fat loss phase, ideally I'd recommend you do like an 8-week holding period where you look to try and maintain your peak weight and then come down. Because if you go from peak bulk to instantly try and slash carbohydrates, slash food, throwing in fat burners, use things like clenbuterol, all this work you put in the last 6 to 12 months to build the muscle mass, that muscle's just going to disappear. And with that, when you look to come into fat loss phase, you want to make sure that you're doing the same training that built the muscle in the first place. So a huge mistake people make is they think, oh, I'm going to lose fat now, I need to dance around like an idiot doing supersets, giant sets. Well, that's cool, but if you didn't do that to build the muscle, that's not going to help you. You don't lose and burn fat in the gym. You use the weight training to create a stimulus to build muscle mass. You use your nutrition by creating calorie deficit to burn body fat, and that'd be my final note. So if you're in a position right now where you're perma-bulking, or you felt like you're perma-bulked for life and you've never seen your abs before, this is a big fucking issue, and you've got man titties and you think you're in a position where you're just not happy with everything, this is your choice now to draw a line in the sand and step over it. If you're in that position where you want help, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, say listen to the podcast, drop me a message with the word shredded. We can help you get in the best shape of your life and help you to give you some insights in terms of how to go from perma-bulk and when you should come out of perma-bulk and when a growth phase should come to an end. If you enjoyed the video and the podcast, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the episode very soon.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up, I'm just doing me, everything is